everybody. It's Dave Dyer, and welcome to another episode of Tight 10 with Dave Dyer. This is my podcast where I have interesting people on, people I find interesting that I want you to find interesting. We get to know them with 10 questions. It gives you a little bit of an insight to who they are, and maybe you'll be a big fan. My guest today is Indiana Broadcast Pioneer Hall of Famer, Kristi Lee. What a title. Hi, Kristi. How are you?
Hello, Dave. Boy, that is quite a title, isn't it? Woohoo!
It is. You are also, I would guess the title is news director, co-host of the nationally syndicated Bob and Tom Show, right? Is that your title?
That's one I made up, yes.
Yes. Very nice.
Yeah.
You also used to be a sideline. I was looking up all kinds of research. Even though I know you, I was looking at all sorts of research. You used to be a sideline reporter for ESPN at some events. You were on the Board of Trustees for the Indianapolis Zoo. We're going to talk about that a little bit.
Still am,
most
yes.
of all, you are mom to 2 beautiful daughters and a wife to Andy for the past 3 years, right?
Yeah, correct. Very good. Yes.
There you go. So
You win.
All right.
You win the bio search.
There you go. So 10 questions. The first one's always kind of a this or that sort of question. Question number 1.
Okay.
Indy 500 or meeting Hugh Jackman? Which was bigger for you this past year?
Hugh Jackman. I've been around the Indy
Okay.
500 my whole life. I'm like in that. If my husband heard me say that, he'd be so mad right now because he lives for the Indy 500. But yeah,
I've
Hugh
been
Jackman.
several times and love it. But I saw all the pictures online of you guys with Hugh Jackman in the studio. How did that come about? What was he doing?
It was a surprise. His girlfriend, Sutton Foster, was doing, I don't know if she still is, but was teaching at Ball State. And one of the trustees at Ball State picked him up at the airport. And as they were driving back to Muncie, he goes, "Hey, you should stop in and check out the Bob and Tom Show." And apparently Hugh Jackman had heard of us. He was sure. And I mean, literally, he came in with 40 minutes left in the show. We had no idea he was coming. It was quite a surprise.
Was he a good guy? A lot of fun?
Oh, yeah. He was a great guy. He was very nice.
I'm a
with
big
Tom.
fan
I mean,
of his.
come on.
Yeah. All right. You started doing radio all the way back in high school, correct?
Correct.
For your station now.
Yeah.
I spoke with Tom Griswold a few weeks back, and I asked him the same question. You guys have seen all different iterations of radio with the ups and downs, all the different ways it's gone through. What do you like better about the way radio used to be? Give me one thing you like better about how it used to be, and one thing you like better about the way it's done today.
I like terrestrial radio. I think it was more personal. We were more local. We were more in people's lives. I think that is actually going to go into my next question, into the next answer. But I think it was just a little more personal, a little more, local, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. The way it is now, I think it's great because we get to be exposed to so many more people, which is obviously good. And there are so many other ways to catch us, if you will, with streaming and all the other options that you have on your phone. You're not just limited to in your car or having a radio in the kitchen or in the bathroom. Yes, for you kids, we used to have radios all over the house.
Yes,
that was
everywhere.
the only way we could hear music and our favorite DJs.
Yeah. I used to have a little tiny GE transistor radio that had the one plug with the one ear thing that went in your ear next to my bed, and I was supposed to be in bed at 9, and I would sit there with my head listening to the radio and all sorts of things under the covers. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now, speaking of, we'll call this 2A. In regards to the way you appreciated it, how it used to be, and it was more local. Now, you guys still, just from having done the show, from 6 to 10, you guys have a nationally syndicated show. But then from 10 to 10:30, you do a local half hour, correct?
Not anymore, but we used to do that. Yeah.
You used to do that. Okay.
Yeah, we don't really do that anymore unless there's something special, that's very rare anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. But was it when you were doing that, was it a tough dance to not want to kind of, incorporate the things that you're seeing around you? It would seem like you always have to edit in your head. Well, this is something that's happening to all of us, but people in, California aren't going to have any clue what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think that's why, well, that 10 to 10:30 was local. That was the reason, so we could talk about something that was happening in it's no secret. I'm not breaking the fifth wall. We're based in Indianapolis. Right. So if something was happening, like the NHRA National Drags are happening that weekend, people in Modesto aren't going to fly out here for that. I mean, not at that last moment, but So yes, and that was great for that. But no, I think when we're on when we're on, the network, as they say, we're pretty ingrained to know. And if we slip up and say something, Tom will go, check local listings. Or,
Give his little passive aggressive jab to let you know, hey, remember where we are.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Yep.
Question number 3. Being the news director, for those people who have not listened to the show, and I'm sure most people listen to the show or have heard of it, as the show goes on, you are always coming in with news items that get commented on, and it becomes a roundtable discussion. What do you do to prep for those shows? Where do you get your news sources? Do you do stuff outside of the show, always keeping up on things?
This is a 3A, 3B question.
Okay.
3A, when Bob was still there, I did all that. I did all my prep. I used so many multiple news sources, and I would get there an hour before the show, and I would go through them all, and I would edit and put together a newscast, and, I was prepared and ready. After Bob left, Tom does everything. So I walk in, he hands me what I read. So if you don't like the stories or the way they're written, not my fault. I used to be a journalist. I say that. I used to be a journalist. I have a journalism degree, but now I smile and I do what I'm told.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So
actually, honestly, Tom does have one of his sons and his wife, Sam and Pauline. They spend all night curating the news, making sure, because in this day and age, we got to make sure that it's real, especially with AI now. So Sam and Pauline, all they do is curate and make sure everything is legit and everything is real before we say it on the air. So
yeah, anytime I've done a little bit of radio here in Grand Rapids and I have to do news items and stuff like that, the one rule I try to go by is if it's coming from a news source that I've never heard of, there's a good chance I'm probably going to avoid it. It could be some guy like me sitting in his basement coming up with news items and tweaking them a little way. So
yeah, I really rely on the Associated Press. We're members of the Associated Press, so that's basically my certain, because I do real news on the 24/7 feed, and those I do write, and those I do, my own, and I always use just Associated Press stories or something that I've curated earlier in the day, or that day before.
I have the AP News app on my phone. And you can look at all the different things and all the different sources, and everybody's got their own little angle on things. When you open up the AP News app, you kind of feel like, okay, I'm getting a pretty objective, straight shooting here.
Yeah, but lately, have you noticed a lot of AI writing? And that is driving me crazy. Oh, yeah, you can tell the difference from what it used to be to where it is now. I've noticed a lot, especially overnights. Mm-hmm. They don't have a staff anymore. I don't know what they're doing over there, to be honest with you. AP, if you're listening, I apologize. No, I don't. It sucks. Your AP overnight shit sucks. Oh, sorry. It sucks.
It's fine.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say a bad word.
We're all adults here.
Yeah. But I love trash news too. I mean, I'll read the New York Post. I'll read the Daily Mail. I mean, I like to kind of mix it up because I'll learn something in one of the trashy news stories that the AP won't talk about. So I can kind of,
I've also found with things like the New York Post and even TMZ, I think TMZ has actually gained, and maybe I'm wrong, you tell me, has actually gained more credibility because oftentimes they'll come out with tidbits of a story that nobody has come out with yet. And then the next day somebody else comes out and they're like, verifying what TMZ told you yesterday.
Yeah. So I don't really read a lot of TMZ. Maybe I should start. I'll add that to my list. Thank you.
Do it. There you go. All right. Question number 4. As I mentioned in your intro, you have done some TV in the past. You did a little bit of stuff for ESPN. Mm-hmm. Was there ever a time when you were doing that where you thought, I'd rather kind of go down this road than radio?
Absolutely. In fact, I got into TV. When I got into this thing called media, I wanted to be a sports reporter. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do sports, live sports. And but I didn't know how to do that back in the day. So my career went roundabout. I was started in radio, then I worked in television, but I was an engineer, but I was at a local TV station. And I thought, well, if I'm in the building, I have a better shot of getting on air than if I weren't. Well, it didn't work that way at my shop because it was a union shop. And so that didn't cross over. So then when I went to Bob and Tom full time, I happened to run into an old friend of mine who was a producer at ESPN, and they said something, and they go, if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you do? And I go, I'd be doing TV, sports. That's what I've always wanted. And then 2 months later, I got a phone call. Hey, we would love for you to do this show. Actually, to be honest with you, I started in the NBA. That's not true. I started in Major Indoor Lacrosse League. I started doing that for ESPN. And then from that, I got hired to do sideline reporting for the NBA for 5 years for the Pacers. So
nice.
I got to do what I wanted to do. The last year, 1998, when the Pacers were in what was Market Square Arena at the time, I was working Bob and Tom in the morning and then all the Pacer games at night. And even playoff games, I would travel. And I put ESPN on the back burner during basketball season. But I got pregnant. And then in 1998, I was A, pregnant, and B, they were going to move to a new arena, which was sponsored by another radio station. They told me I'd have to quit the Bob and Tom show and work for the Pacers full time. That did not make economic sense to me, and I just didn't feel like that was my path with a baby coming too. And I'm not going to lie, look at me, I'm no spring chicken. I started in my 30s, so I was already 38. And I was like, this probably isn't where I need to be in this part of my life, because I didn't want to travel with a small child.
Yeah, listen, I know where you're coming from. Look at, obviously I'm a very different path, but having, 2 young kids when I was, when I was starting out in comedy, there's just different priorities and different decisions you have to make in that situation. You could go the other way, but somebody's going to suffer a lot if you do go the other way,
Right. But I see people like Michelle Tafoya and Hannah Storm and these people that I was working during the same time, and I think, I could have done that. But it's okay. It all worked out all right. Life's good.
Everything worked out fine.
Yeah,
you got a beautiful life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right. Back to kind of a silly question. Question number 5. You're flipping channels and the movies. Now, forget that streaming exists to make this work. You're flipping channels. The movies Pulp Fiction, Silence of the Lambs, and Fargo are all on at the same time. Which one of those 3 do you watch and why?
Well, I've only seen Silence of the Lambs. The other 2,
okay.
I don't like gore at all. So Pulp Fiction is out, and Fargo, I've heard about the wood chipper scene, so that's out. Silence of the Lambs I've seen, so I know where to close my eyes. So I'm good with that one.
Oh, okay. That's a great choice. Of those 3, I would probably pick Fargo, because Fargo, you're right, the wood chipper scene is a little tough, but the rest of the movie is just absolutely amazing. But Silence of the Lambs was just a masterpiece.
Classic.
Just so good.
Yes.
Just a great movie. Okay, Silence of the Lambs. All right. Question number 6. You've hosted in the past many of the Bob and Tom comedy tour shows, several of those of which I was on. And I always loved it when you would host. You were always in just this great mood, and you'd always kick things off. At the start of the show, you would come out the crowd. Oh, yeah, they loved you. And but let me ask you this, and this is not, you're not going to be shitting on anybody by answering this question.
Okay.
But in all the years of the show, all the comedians that have come into the studio, and the roster that would get put together for those shows, who was your favorite? When you looked at the roster, who were you like, oh, I can't wait to see this person's show?
Well, Dave Dyer, of course.
I was not fishing for that.
Who did I love on the tour? Well, I mean, back in the day, like, we had Daniel Tosh on the comedy tour.
Yeah.
And Daniel, I mean...
That was before I did, but...
Yeah, I mean, this was way back before Daniel got huge. And he was always fun because he would walk people and he didn't care. And it was just, he was always fun. I don't really have a favorite. I mean, now, I hate to say this, but, no, I hate to say it, but most of my... Tim Wilson and Donnie Baker, those 2 guys were always fun to work with.
Yep.
And may they rest in peace. I can't believe still that they're gone. They made the tour. I mean, especially the Pork Pistols. I loved it when the band was on tour with us.
Yeah.
We had so much fun.
Yep. I tell people all the time, Donnie Baker was Ron Sexton, who was a guy who did several characters of the Bob and Tom show. And I just used to love not only doing those shows with Ron, but when I would be a guest on the radio show and he's in Florida, and when I would have a good line that got a good laugh, without fail, he would text me and go, "Great one. That was a great line." And so he's listening in, and it was just the best. It was so good. So
yeah,
good.
he was a great supporter, and he was a lot of fun to travel with because you also have to travel with these people.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
and that has been funny. I mean, I've been snowed in, and I've had to drive through. I remember coming home from Madison, Wisconsin, with Tim Wilson and Mike Armstrong in the car. And I drove, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Because they were going to stay. I go, I'm not staying. We can get out of this. It was like 15 inches of snow, Dave. You're a Michigan guy. I go, we get this. We're right by the interstate. I go, they're not going to have the interstate closed. We dig the car out. We get to that interstate. We're going home. And I did. It was like, I'm getting out of here. I'm going home. But it was a lot of fun. I just had a dream last night about that, or night before last, that we went back out on the tour. And it was me and Josh and Chick and Tom and Andy Kindler.
Andy Kindler. I love Andy Kindler.
Andy Kindler's never been on the tour, but he was on this one. It was and I had no, and I'm not a stand-up, but I had no jokes. And I was like, what am I going to talk about? I have no idea. And it's so stressed out. But I loved being, Greg Hahn was always fun on the road.
Hahn's always
my
killer.
gosh.
I will say one name from the tour that sticks out in my mind, and that is Dwight Slade.
Oh yeah,
because
Dwight
is just a very very funny comic, and the reason it sticks out is I had the good fortune of doing one of the tour shows in Lincoln, Nebraska with him, and the first time I ever got paid to be a stand-up comedian was emceeing at Connections in Lansing, Michigan when Dwight was the headliner. The first time I ever got paid to do a
That's
gig.
so funny. The very first time I ever was on the stage, I emceed at the Funny Bone in Indianapolis. Speaking of babies, I just had a baby, and I emceed and met Dwight Slade. That's where I first met him. And I never worked a tour with Dwight, so I never got to see him as a Bob and Tom guy. But he's always been fun. He's a good guy.
Oh, super funny, super funny.
Great closer.
Yes, perfect. Yep. Question number 7. As I mentioned also in the intro, you were on the Board of Trustees for the Indianapolis Zoo for a while.
No, I still am.
Connect? Oh, you are? You still are? Okay.
In fact, I'm on the executive committee, so I'm very involved at the zoo. I know. Watch out.
Whoa.
I'm in charge
Look,
of
you want to see the koalas, you got to go through Kristi Lee.
We don't have koalas, but I'd love to have them if we
If
had
you did, you still got to go through Kristi Lee.
It's my favorite animal. How'd you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But, hey.
Favorite animal.
How did that connection come about, and what does it entail? What do you do for them?
Okay, so I was asked to be on another board before that, and when you get on the circuit, I call it, the board circuit, people know that, you're interested. So this particular board I was on, I enjoyed it. I was flattered to be on it, but I didn't meet the mission well. I accepted it because I'd never been asked to do one before. And I'm like, oh my gosh, of course. I have gotten so much out of life and been able to do so many things, especially in my community, that I want to give back. And this is a perfect time in my life to be able to do that. I'm not on TV. I'm not traveling. My kids are grown. I have all afternoon to sit here with my birds and read. But instead, I have chosen to do a lot of volunteer work. So from that, I had a friend who was on the board, and she called and said, "Would you?" And I go, "Oh my God!" I jumped at it because that is animals are my passion. In fact, I've always said when this, dog and pony show's over, I will probably end up at the zoo. I don't know if it'll be a volunteer position or if I'll work at the, I don't know what I'll do, but I love it so much. But that has spiraled, so now I am on 3 other boards, and I have an interview next week for another one. But that's okay because I enjoy that. Yeah, I'm very involved with also another one that I'd love to promote here. It's the Heartland Film Festival. The Heartland Film Organization is an amazing film festival. We're one of the top 25 film festivals in the United States. And a lot of people don't know about us, but we have a shorts in July, and then we have our full festival in October. And we are really becoming a player and growing quite a bit. And it's a real exciting time. So if you have a chance, just check out heartlandfilm.org and look at some of the stuff we're doing. It's cool.
Well, without knowing exactly what it is there sort of a specific niche to to the festival, or is it kind of open to any sort of submission?
30 years ago, it started as a family Christian-based thing, but now it's grown. So now we have dark comedies and horror. And we really encourage young people. Like we have a high school education, high school film submissions, especially the shorts. They've really taken off. Shorts are a really big thing. But now we like to make a difference, is I think, so our movies are, worldwide. We take submissions from all over the world. Documentaries, we have documentary shorts, documentary features, just like the Academy Awards. We had 14 films that debuted at our festival that were Academy Award winning nominees this year. Not winning, but they were nominated for the Academy Awards. So it's a great festival. We're getting right up there with Tribeca, and we're not at Sundance yet, but we're closing in. It's really exciting. Yeah.
And it's based in Indianapolis there?
Mm-hmm. Based in Indy. Started here in Boston.
By the way, let me say this to people. I say this all the time. Now, my one connection with Indianapolis is you guys, and I've come down there several times to do the show. And when I come down, there's a very dear friend of mine from Michigan State who he and his wife live in Plainfield, which is one of the suburb areas.
Right.
So I stay with them the night before the show, and they've taken me around. And I tell people all the time, Indianapolis is this kind of unspoken gem. It's this fantastic city that you just don't really hear or think about a lot. But when you're there, you're like, this is a great city, man. There's a ton of stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's a good town.
Well, I'm fortunate too because I was born and raised here, and that's very rare in my business. Usually, like Tom is from Michigan or Cleveland, Bob was from LA, Chick was from Ohio, Josh is from St. Louis. So for me, growing up, that's another reason why I love that I get to be involved in all of these things now that I took advantage of as a child even. I mean, I was going to the zoo when I was a kid, so it's really cool. And now I'm also getting involved at the Art Museum at Newfields, which I love. So it's just a really cool place. There's a lot of art here and a lot of things that people don't know about. We have amazing museums. We have the Children's Museum is incredible. I mean,
just the architecture downtown is fantastic.
Yeah. It's a good little town. Visit
it. It is. Yep, and not to mention not just the downtown area, but there's a lot of really nice surrounding areas. It's a beautiful place. All right, question number 8. Bob Kavoyan, and for those people who don't know, Bob and Tom, the Bob of Bob and Tom is Bob Kavoyan. Bob retired in 2015. He just passed away this past April. Now, I will tell you from a guest's perspective, I absolutely loved it. I started coming in a few years before he retired. Always just great support, just there with you on the joke, just to hear that laugh come from Bob was such a reward for a comic. But tell me from your perspective as a friend, as a coworker, a mentor, whatever position he held in your life, what it was like working with him and being around him.
Bob was everybody's guy. Bob was a best friend. Bob was the guy you drank a beer with. Bob was the guy you went to a concert with. He was my friend. He had my back no matter what. He listened, Tom. He was.
I love all these jabs coming.
Yeah, I mean, he did. He was a listener, and he paid attention, and he wasn't on his computer, and he genuinely loved the show, and he loved what he did. But if he didn't like you. Boy, would you know it. So that was the one downfall of Bob is that if you weren't on Bob's list, you knew it, and that could be tough. But he was a very special man and near and dear to my heart. And in fact, I have one of his hats in my bedroom right now next to my nightstand, and I will miss him forever. And when you said his laugh, it was like the minute that I found out he had passed, we lost the greatest laugh. Yeah, I mean, I'm so blessed that we have bits that I get to hear it, and I was blessed that I got to talk to him days before he passed away, and he's a special guy.
Yep. The beauty of the laugh was not only the sound and the cadence of it, but the fact that as a comic you realized you had to earn it. Bob genuine. Didn't just. Yeah, it was not just because I'm sure I've said lines where you'd get the old Bob, oh, okay, and then you just kind of roll on. But when he'd laugh, you're like, yes, I got him. So, okay, I'm going to give you 3 names. We're back to silly for a second.
Okay.
3 names: Greg Warren, Greg Hahn, Jimmy Pardo. You have the opportunity to do a travel show for television, and you have to select a co-host. Which one of these three? Give me the order from favorite to least favorite of which of these three you'd want as your co-host.
Well, as a co-host, it would be Jimmy Pardo. He's a great host on TV.
Yep.
Great
Pardo
host.
would be great.
Pardo would be great. Greg Warren would be great. He's a little more subtle. We've seen him on the Nate Bargatze show. And then Craig on would be fun, but you'd have to rein that in. And I don't know how Greg would be able to be reined in on television. Yeah. Pardo, to me, he's probably, he never did the Bob and Tom tour, but I will never forget this. I did a show with him. I opened for him at the Skyline Club in Appleton, Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
And yep. I was not very good. I wasn't a very good comic. But as you know, I had the benefit of people already knowing who I was. Mm-hmm. I could just walk out and make fun of myself or make fun of Tom, and I'd get a laugh. It was easier for me. But I still was so nervous. That was the most nerve-wracking. I don't know how you guys do it. And I opened for him, and I got so drunk. I will never forget this. I will never and have never had a drink before I went on stage ever again after that night. He said something to me, and it sobered me up pretty quick. And it also I went, yeah, I can't be taken seriously if I continue to do this. So I'm very grateful to Jimmy for that. Not to say I still drink a little, have a beer or something or a glass of wine, but I've never gotten drunk like that again since then, because he really taught me a lesson. And he is I just saw him 2 weeks ago in a small theater with like 100 people. There is no one quicker or wittier. Yep. He is just fabulous. Yep. Why he's not hosting a game show is beyond me. He would be
I know.
Perfect.
He would be, and I know that's a dream of his. I know that's something he would love to do. I think I would go with the same order. Jimmy is for sure would be my co-host, simply because wherever we are, we're going to have fun. He's going to make me laugh, and it's going to be a riot. Yeah. Warren would be fun, because Warren is, I don't want to say this the wrong way, so secretly knowledgeable about a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's like a super smart guy. I don't want to come off like, boy, he seems, like he wouldn't be. But when you get into a discussion with Greg, you're like, holy crap, this guy knows a lot about a lot. So that would be interesting. Han would be fun for a while, but you'd spend most of your time apologizing to people for Han, Hey, sorry, I didn't know he's going to be loud, so.
Greg being Greg. Han.
Yep. There you go. All right, question number 10. Last question, Kristi. I ask every one of my guests this because it's always something I find interesting. What's your favorite way to celebrate a win, either professionally or personally? What's your favorite way to celebrate it?
Wow, I've never been asked that before. I hadn't even thought about it before. To celebrate a win. I guess being with my family. I mean, it sounds nice glass of champagne, being with my family, a nice dinner. That would be all I need. Yeah.
Yep. I look at mine as
kind of a boring answer, but
not at all. Some people have come up with more elaborate answers when I've asked this question. For me personally, I'm very similar. I like sitting on the back deck for a couple hours with a couple beers and just relaxing and quiet and take it all in.
That's exactly where I was a half an hour ago. I wasn't drinking the beer, but I was laying on the couch taking a quick nap because I didn't sleep last night. But we just moved out into the woods about a year ago, so I have all these bird feeders, and so the birds are my best friend now, and it's crazy. I'm become crazy bird woman. I have.
She's talking to the birds again.
Oh yeah. Yes.
All right, Kristi. Well, that is it. What is the best way for people to find you? What's your social handle on Instagram? Is it Kristi Lee News?
Yes, Kristi Lee News on Instagram. That's about it. That's the only public account that I have.
Or just if people want to go to the Bob and Tom Show, bobandtom.com.
Yeah.
They can stream the show. They can download the app. All sorts of different ways to find you there.
Kaylee at bobandtom.com if you want to email, I guess.
There you go.
I never said that before. Ooh.
Uh-oh. It's going to go down
that's fine.
now.
No, nobody's going to email me. It's all good.
All right, Kristi, thank you so much. Again, this has been Tight 10 with Dave Dyer. My guest has been co-host and news director for the Bob and Tom Show, Kristi Lee. Kristi, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. It was a pleasure.